as you can see, is fed by these two transistors. Now I'm not sure what these are, but by the way that they're wired and the way that they're set up here, I'm going to guess these are MOSFETs. So I wanted to do a quick teardown of this Harbor Freight solar floodlight, or I'm sorry, Bunker Hill Security. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I needed a solar panel for a project, and I didn't feel like ordering one and waiting for it to come in. So I checked Harbor Freight and saw the reviews of this and a lot of other lights just like it. They were kind of interesting, to say the least. Quite a few people stated that they had to take them back like multiple times to finally get one that would work or even turn on. I think one person said he had to go 4 times. Another said that they did 2, and then there was a bunch of others. I don't remember the amounts. I just remember those 2 in particular, but there was a lot of them. There's also not a lot of specs listed, or really any at all, and if there were, I probably wouldn't trust them because, you know, it's Harbor Freight. So let's take it apart, see how bad it really is, and see if there's any hope at all for it. You know, maybe it could be fixed, upgraded, or if it's, you know, if it's even worth its price in parts. So let's take it apart. Now I'm thinking the reason that they don't work, and by the way, I have not opened this. This is the first time I'm opening this, so we'll find out together how it's packed. And I'm thinking the reason that they don't work, why these people are getting ones that don't work, it could be really anything, but I'm guessing one of 2 things. Solar panel got cracked in shipping, or the battery that's in it, and I read somewhere that these use lithium batteries. It doesn't say anywhere on the box, it just says detects motion, easy to install, motion activated. It's kind of one and the same. It doesn't really say anywhere, but I remember reading somewhere that they use lithium batteries in this. So probably the lithium battery fell below its minimum threshold, so it wouldn't charge it. That's a possibility. Or the panel got cracked itself. So we'll find out. That is if this one doesn't work. So you got the manual, mounting bracket, screws, another mounting bracket. I'm guessing one for the light, one for the panel. Solar panel. And what do we got? So here's the solar panel. And so it feels like it's it's a little bit, I don't know, it is what it is for the price. Definitely not a monocrystalline panel. You know, it is what it is. It's kind of flimsy, but you know, it is what it is. We'll test the output of this soon. Probably the output's not going to be that great. And yeah, let's just take this whole thing out. There's nothing left in the box but that. And here is the light. It looks like a bunch of LED cobs. So let's put this over here. And so here's the, does it even look like that? Yeah, it does. This is the supposed motion sensor. If we turn it on, it's actually got a charge, which is good. So you see it's dim. And then when it sees motion, which there was none, I guess because I'm moving it a little bit, it goes bright. So now you would think if this was a motion activated light that it would be off until it saw motion, then it would turn on. Or you should at least have an option between the two, so that it would always be on, you know, you could always have it on. The problem with always having it on, even when it's dim, that's pulling a lot of power. And if there's only, I'm looking at it right here, I don't know if you can see that, that's probably the cell right there. Very small battery, very cheap panel. So you have to have a small battery to be able to charge it with this cheap panel. So let's, you know, it doesn't make any sense, but again, it's $16. Maybe we can make this thing work. So I am not outside at the moment, obviously. I will take this out later when the sun is out. Right now it's early in the morning, so sun is not exactly at its peak. We'll give this thing every chance, you know, every possible chance. But up against this light, that's not bad. It's 5.8 volts. .2, so that's impressive. That's actually pretty good. As far as current is concerned, I think what I'm going to do is just do a direct short, and Let's see what we got for current. That's not so good. You got just about 14 milliamps. That's nothing. That is next to nothing. Now again, this is, I'm using this light up here. We'll see what it does out in the real sun. So let's take apart. And my kitten is playing behind me. See, yep. Okay, and the ball is now downstairs. The screws were in there pretty tight, so obviously these holes were not tapped. They were just, they just ran the screws in. And we got that. I'm gonna guess that this circuit is very similar to the the ones that you put in the ground, those pathway lights. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of nice. They actually have a battery, so you can remove and replace the battery. What's not nice is it's a 14500, 600 milliamp hour. So that is nothing. 600 milliamp hour is nothing. So let's say you had, well, let's see what this will actually. Let me turn on the power supply here, and let's see what the current drain is. What is this? 3.2. We'll go with exactly 3.2. All right. So it's set to 3.2. It's on. Right now it's, okay, about 340 milliamps on bright. When it's on low, it's about 30 milliamps, which is a huge difference. But here's the thing. All right, so technically with a 600 milliamp hour battery, if this was stayed in dim mode, this could theoretically last, what, about 20 hours or so. I think the problem that's happening is these aren't getting fully charged because of this panel. And then also this wears out. Now, in case you don't believe me, here, I'll show you the current. Can you see that? Yep. All right, so let's turn it on. All right, so when it's in dim mode, it's 26 milliamps. In the bright mode, it's 158. Now, this was actually, might be a bad connection because I was just using this. It was 150. Jumping all over. We got a bad connection somewhere. 160. So we'll say 160 just because it's a round number. So 160 milliamps with a 600 milliamp hour battery. That's going to last what, like 3.5 to 4 hours, something like that. I have to get a calculator, but it's about 3.5 to 4 hours on high, which actually isn't that bad. I'm going to turn this off because it's flickering, it's driving me nuts. That's actually not bad. So people say it only lasts an hour, they probably have a bad battery or it's not getting fully charged. Now, that's the question. Will this fully charge this battery? So again, I'm not out in the sun, but if we take a look at this, and yeah, it's 413, 415. it's gaining 60. Let's be nice, and we'll say 20 milliamps. So it would take about 12 hours at 20 milliamps to charge this battery, providing, all things perfect. There's no shade over this, that there's no other type of draw, because when this thing's turned on, so let's try that. Let's see. When this is plugged in, the light is off. Why is there... Oh, it's because it's charging it. Is it really charging that at 1 milliamp? Because, duh. I got the power supply on, that's why. So if we turn that, yeah. All right, yeah, so you cover the solar panel, it lights up. As soon as solar sees the, the light, then it turns off. I wonder if let's turn the power supply off and run this directly to here. Yeah, okay, so it does charge it directly. Okay, and I'm back. I can't keep having to step away to do stuff. I don't remember where I was at. I think I was looking for parasitic loss, but I can't do that with this being dim, or I can, but it just makes it a little bit more. I have to factor in the resistance of that. So I'm thinking the easiest thing to do, can't remove the panel, LED panel, because that'll break the circuit. I wonder if there's a way to make this thing not be dim and only turn on with motion. So let's take it apart and see how the board looks. I don't remember where I was going before, and I'm sorry this isn't very organized, but let's take a look at that. Because so far, besides it being on all the time, dim whenever there's no light hitting the panel, I'm actually pretty impressed. For the price, not too bad. So I'm pretty impressed as far as the panel's kind of cheap, but it's $16-17 for this whole thing. Not too bad. And theoretically it should only take, what did I say, something like 12 hours to charge. So you need 12 hours of sunlight. So this is only going to really work well in the summer. In the winters, especially, let's say up north, it's not going to be on long enough for it to work. So that might be where people were complaining. You do need a full day of sun. Also, if this is in the winter and it's covered in snow, or you got cloud cover, that could be a problem. But in the summer, this theoretically should work. I'm curious about this though. I want to see, is there an easy way to, let's see if we can zoom in here a little bit. Is there an easy way to, let me say it one more time. Is there an easy way to have this only turn on when there's motion? And I'm just looking anything obvious before I look at the pin out of this IC. I believe that IC is the same as all the other ones. So I pulled the panel and the board out of the case just to make it easier to use under the scope. And so you have this wire here is negative going to the panel. It just goes to the ground plane on the board. And then you have the positive here, and the positive, as you can see, is fed by these two transistors. Now I'm not sure what these are, but by the way that they're wired and the way that they're set up here, I'm going to guess these are MOSFETs. You have a line coming here from the motion sensor coming down around and going here, and this would be the gate if this were a MOSFET, and the gate would be also have a resistor going to ground or to the source. So the gate and the source would be tied together with a resistor. So that is exactly what it is here. And then the drain would go to what you're trying to power. Same thing for this side. However, this side, if you notice, there's this line or this trace that comes up around to this resistor here. So let's just make sure that is connecting. I'm assuming it is. So that's connecting. I'm wondering if this here is the motion sensing full brightness, and this one here is the partial or the dim. So an easy way to find out would be to remove this transistor. I could remove this resistor. I'm wondering what would be easier to do. Because with this tied and there's not any positive going to, yeah, that should work, I think. Let's see what happens. Let's get this out of the way. So the idea here is to disable the dim feature. Basically, we only want this thing to turn on when it's, when it detects motion. Put that aside. Okay, so now let's apply some power to this. Let's see what happens. So it's off, now it's on. Oh, wait, hold on. So now when it's off, hold on, I'm confused. What is this thing doing? Okay, so, all right, so now it's on. Perfect. No light. When it sees that, there you go. That's all it needs to be done. Just needs to disable that one MOSFET. All right, and it turns back on. I got a cat here, just petting my cat. Anyway, so that works. That's all we got to do is remove that one resistor or the MOSFET, one or the other, and it will only work when it is when it detects motion. So all in all, I'm actually pretty. Yeah, stop beeping. All right, let's get this out of here. So all in all, I'm actually pretty impressed. I was expecting this thing to be a steaming pile of you know what, but really, it's not for the price. This is a pretty good value if you remove that resistor or that MOSFET, because otherwise it's just not going to last and it's not going to charge with this little panel. Unless you live in like something like Arizona where you have blistering sun all year long. I don't live in Arizona, but that's what I've heard. And then that would bring in its own problem because it would probably dry this plastic out so fast and it would just become brittle. But, if this thing had light all the time and you disabled the dim state so it would only come on when it's all motion, I don't see anything wrong with it. I think for the price, if it lasts a year or two and then maybe moisture gets in, because moisture will get in. This is not, there's no gasket around here. Yes, they put a little rubber stopper here, but the thing is, the rubber stopper, it doesn't do anything. It just covers the switch, but water's going to get past that. Same thing with the power connector. So, it's $16. What do you expect? 17, whatever it comes out to be. So, yeah, I think it's actually a damn good deal. If you get one of these and it turns out it doesn't turn on, I would be interested to know why. Although, judging by the people that are buying this, they're just taking it back to the store, which I probably would too. Actually, no, I would not. Lie. That's a lie. I would take it apart and try and fix it. But let's turn this off. That's going to get annoying real fast. What are you doing over there? Sorry, once again, I'm back. What was I saying? Yeah, I'd be interested to see why they don't work. Chances are it's this battery. And it is a 14500 as far as the size is concerned. So you could buy another battery for it, but the battery is probably going to cost just as much as this whole thing. So yeah, I would just take it back. And I have this on. Why does this not look right? Oh. There we go. Perfect. Alright, so it's all back together. Flip that over. It does that because it senses motion. So it still works normally. And I'll let this sit. So let's figure out how long it takes, or how long it stays on for. So I got this goofy stopwatch app. Let's see how long it stays on for when it detects motion. So the easiest way to do that is going to be, as soon as I do this, it goes through its first cycle. So about 30 seconds. And then of course it sees me move. So, you know, that's about average from what you would get elsewhere. So for the money, 16, 17 bucks, not bad. As long as you disable, like I said before, you disable that MOSFET or that resistor, one or the other. And what that will do is keep this thing off when it doesn't detect motion. And also when it sees light, motion's not going to make it turn on either. So it's going to be in charge mode all day long, which is good. But it's also because it's, as long as this thing isn't turning on constantly throughout the night, you're saving your battery. So maybe the battery gets just charged 10-20%. Well, it's not going to take very long at all for this thing to, maybe a couple hours for this thing to charge it back up again, and then it'll just trickle charge it. Whereas when this thing is on dim, it's going dead every night within, I forget, what did we say, 6 hours? I forget how long that was. And then over time, when the panel can't charge the battery up all the way, the battery will then only last for a couple hours. So you're constantly running the battery dead. With doing this mod to it, yeah, you're saving your battery. It will actually act like a real floodlight where it'll turn on when it sees motion, and maybe you'll get a year or two out of it. Like I said before, with a lot of sun baking on this plastic, it's cheap, and rain and snow and everything else, I really don't see this thing lasting. What's going to happen is water's going to get in here and it's going to steam this up. I really don't see it lasting very long. But for 16, 17 bucks, yeah, not too. If it's in a place where you can't plug, run wires or run lines to power a real floodlight, this could be a good option. So yeah, 16, 70 bucks. I think this is pretty good.